Welcome to the Living a Life Well Fed podcast. I'm your host, Ariana Youmans Keenahan, and I'm so excited to bring you your number one podcast for all things breastfeeding, family life, and business. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Before we jump into today's episode, which is so important if you ever plan on hiring a family photographer, I wanted to speak to you about our membership plans because soon they will be increasing in price, and I want to make sure that as many people can avail of them as possible before the prices increase. So our annual membership plans include 1 to 2 photo sessions per year for you and your family to enjoy, plus well-fed credit to apply towards family art, or we can arrange a pre-selected collection of family art for those who want it pre-planned for them. It is the most amazing way to enjoy family photographs year after year. It keeps you accountable and you never have to remember a family photo session again or to book a family photo session. You don't have to spend hours on Google searching for photographers, having consultations with them, only to find out that they're not the right fit or they're not available. We have thought of all of that as well as how to include it into your family's annual budget. So if you'd like to find out more, visit wellfedphotography.com/membership or get in touch via email at info@wellfedphotography.com. Okay, so today I'm so happy to have you here to chat about something that's important to me personally, but also to me professionally. And I want to break it down for you in case you are not familiar with this or you're less familiar with what your options are. And it's all about photographs of you and your family, including your children, going online. And, you know, you may have made decisions around this personally for your family, one way or the other. For me, it doesn't work for me to have my children online. Like, I don't want pictures of them to be posted online by myself or by other photographers or by friends or family members. That's not okay with us. That's a decision that my husband and I have made and have agreed to. And we always, anytime we're hiring a family photographer, because yes, even though I am a photographer, I regularly hire other photographers to photograph my family. And I encourage you to find other photographers that do that too. That I always let them know, we always let them know, we do not want photographs of our family going online. We prefer to keep that, not only those memories that are in the photographs, like personal and private for us, for our own enjoyment, but also from a safety perspective, I just really prefer to not have my children online. And also, I feel like, and I've spoken to other parents who feel similarly, but for me personally, I don't feel like my children are at an age where they can consent to having their photographs go online or not. And so I would just rather them not go online, and if later on they feel differently about that, they can choose. But for now, they're not old enough to really understand the implications of that. And so my husband and I have done what we feel is best by making the decision to not post pictures of our children online. So you will not find, at the start, when we had our first child, I posted probably 5 photographs in the span of 5 months on my personal Facebook page. And that was because I'm not living in America anymore. That was my home country. I have a lot of friends and family there. I live in Ireland now. And so it felt like a very convenient way to share the news of my son's birth and to share the fact that we had a baby with our friends and family, a very efficient way to share. And then I was no, I worked in prison previously back in the States for 3 years. That's what I did. So if you don't know that about me, fun fact, there you go. I worked in all of my home state's prisons, and I learned a lot about protecting personal information during that time, both of my own, but also of my clients. And I still apply those lessons today, which is why we made that choice, but also why I choose to respect the choices of other families that I serve. Because I totally understand that as a photographer, and if you don't know this, here's a great lesson for you. As a photographer, the photographs that I take of families, I own. The copyright stays with me. That varies from country to country. There are, I think in New Zealand, perhaps the person who the picture is taken of owns the copyright. But in most of the places that I know of, the photographer is the retainer of the copyright. They own the photographs. And while they can ask for permission insofar as how they're used, they still will always own those photographs. So keep that in mind whenever you are selecting a family photographer. Have the conversation, because most photographers will send across a contract. Some don't use contracts. I personally find that it's great for both sides. There's a certain level of comfort. It helps if there's ever a misunderstanding, there's something you can go back to. It's an agreement you can have in place. It's protection for both parties. So I do at this time offer a contract of services for anything that I do, whether it's photographing families or offering mentoring. But in most contracts for photographers, for photography services, you will find a model release, which gives photographers the opportunity to use the photographs that they take of your family in printed materials that they use for marketing, in online marketing, on their website and social media, in advertising. And while they may say, are you comfortable with this, or would you prefer to not have your family, or the pictures of your family used in these ways? They may not. You may go to a photographer that does not have that conversation with you, and they just have it in the contract, and you may or may not read the contract, and then you sign it. And then if the expectation isn't clear, or you don't have that conversation and they go and use the photographs online, you can feel really uncomfortable if it's your choice to not have your children online. You can feel like there's a mistrust there, when maybe it was just a misunderstanding. Maybe it was just you missed that part of the contract. But in any event, I highly encourage having the conversation. It's something that I would regularly speak to families about. Now, there are some variations to this, right? So if a family has come to me and they want to be members of Well-Fed Photography and have a photo session or photo sessions throughout the year, I will have that conversation and say, would you like to have the photographs shared? Are you okay with that? Or would you prefer that they not be shared? If someone is a participant in our book series, Bainne Cíche, Stories of Breastfeeding Ireland, it's more understood that the photographs are going to be used in printed materials and in materials about the book, like marketing materials and, across our social media platforms. We still issue a release for them to say, I'm okay with you using these photographs in my story and all of those things. But there is a different understanding there. When you're approached to be a part of a book, that book's going to be printed and published and people will have access to it. Whereas if you're just a family hiring a family photographer, you might not even think about that. It may not be on your radar. You may just be thinking about your family getting photographs taken. You pay for the service. You might purchase printed products. And then you go on your merry way. And then you might be shocked whenever a family member, a photograph of a family member or your children or whatever pops up online, when maybe you didn't really want that, but you never had the conversation. So have the conversation. Speak to whoever you're hiring. If they have issues with that, that may not be the right photographer for you. If you have issues with someone respecting your choices around how photographs of your family are used, that may be a very clear indication that you need to find another photographer. I definitely see behind the scenes in photography groups, photographers that are very upset at not being able to use beautiful photographs that they've taken in their marketing materials and to show other families the types of photo sessions that are possible for them. And I still, at the end of the day, every day, would always encourage them to remember that how a person feels about their family and the safety of their family and their children is more important than their feelings around being able to share their work. Both are important, both are valid, both are worth acknowledging, but still, it's always so much better to err on the side of having the communication and honoring whatever was decided. So again, some families, they are completely fine. They feel comfortable. They feel at ease with photographs of their family going online. It may make them feel really good to see those pop up. They may love those little reminders of that photo session when it pops up on a social media page, or to see it on the website. So everything is not a one size fits all. People will feel differently, and that's why it's worth having the conversation, but it's also worth you understanding when you hire a photographer that like they are your memory keepers. They are the people that are going to have those photographs potentially for quite a long time, like on their hard drive or their computer. Like maybe they clear those out every 60 days or 30 days or something, and that could be the case. But like otherwise, like you are hiring someone who is going to have photographs of you and your family, and you need to make sure that you're comfortable with that person. You need to make sure you feel at ease with that person. You need to make sure that you feel like that person is going to like honor what you have, like the boundary you have set around your family. And it's also worth you understanding things like the photographer that takes the picture, they retain the copyright, they technically own the photographs. Like it's just powerful to have that knowledge. So it's really important to me that families that we serve feel like they have a choice. I always want families that we serve to, like, for us to have the conversation. And I'm still so overprotective because I don't share photographs of me and my family online. I'm also like, I tend to be so hesitant and protective of other families. And I don't use social media a huge amount in my business. I'm using it less and less actually these days. But, you know, it is important, of course, for other families to be able to see a photographer's work. It's great to see like what their style is like and what their approach is like, and if they're more posed or if they're more natural and candid, or, you know, if it's like studio photography or if it's on a location or at someone's home. So all of that is very powerful. But again, you have to decide for you and your family how you feel about these things and to have the conversation. So I just wanted to have the chat. I wanted to share our perspective. I wanted to share the approach that we take and encourage you to like really think about it and encourage you to do what feels right for you, do what feels aligned for you and your family. And again, if ever you are met with, whether it's a photographer or another service provider that is not willing to listen to what you've set aside as a boundary for your family or to honor those boundaries, find someone else to be your service provider. Like, it's just, there's so many people out there that are willing to be of service to you, that are willing to have the conversations, and that are willing to have you feel really safe in their presence and really safe as you work with them. And if you're interested in having a photo session with ourselves, with myself, with Well-Fed Photography, get in touch. Like, I would love to be of service to you and your family. I would love to help capture your family's history so that you can go and look back on it, but in such a way that you feel supported and that you feel safe and that you feel at ease, because all of that matters. All of that has an effect on how the photos turn out. All of that matters when it comes to like you feeling at ease on the day that we have the photo session. So if you have any questions around that, get in touch. If you'd like to read more, like, you can go to our website, wellfedphotography.com. You can go, there's a gallery area where you can see some of our work. There's also a testimonials area where you can read more about what it's been like for other people to experience photo sessions with myself, with Well-Fed Photography. And like, you'll see common threads through there of things like people feeling safe and like people feeling like they could relax and be at ease. Like people who have partners who like, they kind of were like worried their partner wouldn't be into it, you know, and then having their partner like cry during the photo reveal. So take time to do those things. Take time to do your due diligence before you hire a service provider or a photographer. See what other people's experience have been like. Read testimonials, have conversations. And I would also recommend, like, it's completely fine if you want to just email back and forth with a service provider, but there's always so much power in hearing someone else's voice, in hearing how they respond to you, and being able to ask your questions in real time and see what their reaction is. And yeah, like, it's worth picking up the phone. I know, like, a lot of times we would rather just like email or text or whatever, but sometimes it's really worth having that conversation. So I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to do what feels aligned for you and your family always. And if this resonates with you, share. like share with someone. If you feel like you know a family member or a friend who is looking to hire a family photographer and they don't know these things, or maybe it's their first time or they've never had to navigate this before, share this episode. This is a basic thing that I wish more families knew before they got their photographs taken, before they hired a photographer, because sometimes people let price be their determining factor. And sometimes they don't do their due diligence. Sometimes they never have a conversation with a photographer until they like show up. And I just think that for the very best experience, it's worth having a conversation. It's worth taking the time to look a little bit further into things. And it's okay to let other factors beyond the investment be a determining factor. And in fact, I'd say for most everyone that comes to us, most people are referred. So most people know someone who's already had a photo session done, and they don't come to us and say, like, I want that particular product usually. They say, I want that experience. I want the experience. And maybe they fell in love with someone's storyboard and they do want that, or someone's album or folio box, and they do want that for themselves. But 9 times out of 10, people that come to us and have a consultation say, I want that experience for myself. I heard her talk about it and I realized that I'm ready for that experience. So if you're ready, get in touch. You can also just find out more at wellfedphotography.com/memberships, and you can download our membership brochure, and that will like teach you so much more about what our options are like with memberships. But it's a fantastic annual plan that you can enjoy year after year. It can keep you really consistent with your desire to have family photographs year after year. It can help you create a bond with someone like myself who can consistently serve your family year after year, who you can feel at ease with, who you can form like a bond and a trust with, and who you can have these conversations with. So I would love to be of service to you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you've enjoyed the food for thought that it's offered. And I hope you enjoy, stay tuned because I'm going to do our products we love. So I will share with you today's recommended product. And yeah, like get in touch. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this episode. Leave us a review. We would always appreciate that. And if there's something that you feel like could be improved upon, like reach out. We are always open to feedback, and we're always open to implementing the things that you have to offer and share. So thank you so much. Okay, so I always save a portion of the show to talk about a product that we love. You can find these on the resource section of our website. And it just makes me so excited to talk about these things because like when you find a product that you love that has made such a difference, you want to tell everyone. And so that's why I set aside a little bit of time in each episode to do just that. So I had a hysterectomy earlier this year due to adenomyosis, and I like felt this call in the hospital to do face yoga. It was like, I'm very in touch with my intuitive side. I let that wisdom come through. I listen to it. I implement it. I've learned well enough to do that at this stage of my life. So I just kept hearing this call to do face yoga. I was like, okay, well, I'll do that. And I did that. So I came home from the hospital and I started doing Danielle Collins face yoga, and I've got her book on our website as a recommendation for the products we love. And the reason why I added this is because I had no idea all of the benefits that were there. Like, of course, yes, people do it for like anti-aging or improving the tone of their skin or reducing fine lines. All of that. That's fantastic. That is great. But one of the reasons why I wanted to put this on our website is because our womb space is also connected to our face. And this makes a lot of sense, right? If you ever go to a birth class and they're like, when you open your mouth, you open your cervix. Like it's all connected. And so I didn't realize that at the time. I only realized that after the fact. But so I did like weeks and weeks of face yoga with Danielle Collins, like after my hysterectomy, and I was just doing what I felt guided to do. For me, it wasn't so much like anti-aging or whatever, like those are great benefits, but I just felt called to do it. then I saw a friend of mine post online that she had been at a seminar, and she was like, oh my gosh, did you know your womb space is connected to your face? And there was a face yoga expert at the seminar, and she learned this, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this must have been why my body told me to do face yoga, because I was healing from the hysterectomy, which is my womb space. And it's true, like I eventually got to a place where I didn't feel like I had to do it every single day, but up until that point, like I had been doing it every day. I felt like the improvement of my circulation in my face, which is funny because it's a place we don't ever think about that. But I started doing face yoga, and I was just like, wow, I can actually feel like the circulation in my face. I felt like headaches improved, and just other things improved. Like there was less tension in my face and in my jawline. So I wanted to make sure to include it. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think, and I'll chat with you soon. Bye.